to ERNIE, which is hopefully the going to be the second expansion for Beyond Earth. Now, obviously, this is not something that they announced, but in one of the interviews that I recall watching, they had actually said, somebody asked them, okay, so is this the only expansion or something along those lines? And they said, well, every Civ game, is considered complete with 2 expansions. That's what I think it was Will Miller said. That's basically what he said in the interview. So I feel like it's pretty safe to say that we're going to see a second expansion, especially since in one of the interviews when they were talking about hybrid affinities, they kept saying, they're their very own thing, and right now in the game they don't feel like it at all. So I feel like that's something that they're still going to do. So I'm going with there's going to be a second expansion, and let's talk about it now so that developers get to see this, hopefully, because they do check the forums, they look and see what we want, and let's make sure that our voices are heard. Now this is just going to be a very short intro video, because what I'm aiming to do here is get people interested and kind of introduce some of my thoughts on what's the most important in terms of delivering in this expansion. And then what I'm going to do is later we're going to talk about community suggestions and such. All right. So what should be the focus of the next expansion? So one thing that I'd like to see is more interesting gameplay. Now this could be done in many ways. It could be done in a way that I have not heard of before. It could be something completely new. I don't know. But the gameplay needs to be more interesting, because right now the gameplay just isn't there. I mean, I would love to see all these great little things like, let's see this nation, or let's see this, let's see that happen. That would all be great. But the gameplay has to be solid when it's all said and done. Or else, it's just going to be more material for a game that may not be that fun to play. Next, I think the immersion needs to come forward fully. So I want to see these leader screens. I'd like to see, at least a tier 1 and tier 2 affinity screen for each leader. Now, I know this is asking kind of a lot, but if you're able to, cause people to be in the same position, or just deck them out with different clothes and just change the background to have like a tier 1 background, a tier 2 background, that could be something that would really help the immersion. So work on immersions, maybe have planetary events. I would love that, especially if they're related to the aliens. The planet is very much alive. We need to have more of that. Next, I think, is fleshing out hybrids. So obviously the hybrids are not as fleshed out as the regular affinities, and I realized this when I was playing Purity, because I had been playing only the hybrids, and I was so excited about the hybrids, and I've been playing them, and I was like, okay, well this is okay. But when I played a pure affinity again, I played Purity actually, and thought to myself, wow, this is a lot better because my army is cohesive. I have my own goal. I have my own affinity victory. It feels a lot more fleshed out than than the hybrids. So if at least the hybrids were brought up to that level, and then maybe give us a little bit more in terms of what we can do with affinities, push the regular affinities a little bit farther, give them like maybe one more thing that helps a few more things to make them stand out, and then bring the hybrids up to that level. I think we'll have a fantastic setup. So if we have that plus the gameplay, the game would already be excellent. Now I know this is a lot to ask, but if you manage to do a couple more, like we have a lot of content now, so if we manage to fix a couple things, make the gameplay more interesting, and bring up all the affinities a little bit higher, and then bring those hybrids together, I think that'll basically make Beyond Earth a great game. So I think we're getting there. And more DLC content. Now I know they've been very light on it, and I feel it's a good and bad thing. In a good way, I feel that the fact that they didn't release a lot is kind of respectful to us, because they're like, to me that's them saying, listen, we know the game isn't that good yet. We're not going to try to shove DLC at you, which honestly I would have been fine with one or a couple DLCs per expansion, or per a couple after the main game, a couple after the first expansion, but they didn't do that. So my guess is, they're trying to fix the core game and make it as good as possible before, delivering DLC. I guess that's it. The other reason could be that maybe they just don't have that much fun, like that many funds in terms of, what they're being given, because maybe their success was not as widely, recognized and as Civ 5, so maybe they were just not getting as much options in terms of how much they can put into this game. I really don't know. But that being said, I would like to see lots of additional stuff. I want to see more map types, more sponsors, just a little bit more of everything. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if it was something that was a big addition to the game as DLC. Even if it was some sort of additional victory type. I don't know. I don't care. But I want to see more for this game. I want this game to get bigger. And if people are worried about the price of DLC coming in later, I'd say wait till it goes on sale. But I want to see more content for this game, because right now we have one small DLC and the other one is an expansion pack. So it's not a lot considering Civ 5 had, I don't know how many, like 10 or 12. And even for Civ 5, I would have loved to have a couple more, one or two more nations, maybe one more map pack or something with, a little more content for late game. I would have loved that. I would have been all for it. So that's just my opinion there. And so next time I'm going to discuss community suggestions for ERNIE. People are currently submitting those in one of the in the suggestion subreddit for Beyond Earth. So check it out if you want to add your own suggestion, and I'll try to go through as many of them as I can, if not all, if there aren't too many. And hopefully we can get these developers to include these. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started on a little gameplay stream now, and get you guys to watch me play some Soyuz difficulty. So I'm going to go ahead and head off, but you guys have a great one, and I'll see you soon. Bye.